After my wife's funeral, my daughter pressured me to throw away all of her mother's belongings. "Forget about Mom and move on with your life," she kept saying. But while sorting through my wife's things, I found a note. "If you're reading this, urgently, check my suitcase. You'll understand everything." I opened it, and my world completely collapsed. In just a few more days, I would destroy everything with my own hands. Wait, before I tell you what happened at that funeral, comment below where you're watching from. I'm sharing this painful story because someone, somewhere, might be facing the same nightmare I did. Let me know you're listening. The November snow fell soft and silent over Crown Hill Cemetery, each flake a whisper against the dark suits and black dresses gathered around the grave. I stood at the edge of the open earth, my hand resting on Quinn's small shoulder. As the pastor's voice droned through prayers I couldn't hear, my mind was somewhere else, somewhere trapped in the moment 3 days ago when they'd told me Claire's car had gone off. I-7 near Morrison. Heather stood beside me, face buried in her hands, shoulders shaking with sobs. My 19-year-old daughter had been inconsolable since the news. Now, as they lowered Claire's casket into the frozen ground, her grief seemed to pour out raw and desperate. "Mummy's sleeping," Quinn said suddenly, her small voice cutting through the ceremony. "When will she wake up?" I knelt down, pulling my youngest daughter close. "Mummy's not sleeping, sweetheart. She's gone to heaven." The scent of incense hung heavy in the cold air, mixing with fresh earth and distant wood smoke. Judith Monroe, Claire's best friend since college, stepped forward and placed a white lily on the casket. Her eyes were red, swollen. She'd been the one helping me make arrangements when I couldn't function. Our neighbor, Phyllis Rutherford, touched my arm as people dispersed. "I'm so sorry, Vincent. If you need anything at all, I'm just downstairs." I nodded, unable to speak. The drive back to Cherry Creek was silent, except for Quinn's occasional sniffles. I kept glancing in the rearview mirror at Heather, who sat perfectly still, staring out the window. Her tears had stopped. Her face was blank, almost calm. Maybe she'd cried herself empty. When we pulled into the driveway, something shifted. Heather unbuckled her seatbelt before I'd even turned off the engine. She was out of the car, moving toward the house with quick, purposeful steps. Cliff-Eye called after her, lifting Quinn from her seat. She didn't answer. Inside the house felt wrong. Too quiet, too empty. I took Quinn to the kitchen, tried to get her to drink some water, but I could hear footsteps upstairs, moving back and forth, quick and urgent. "Stay here, baby," I told Quinn, setting her up with coloring books. I climbed the stairs slowly. The sounds were coming from our bedroom. The door was half open. I pushed it wider and froze. Heather was on her knees beside Claire's old leather suitcase, the one that had been in her car during the accident. The police had returned it 2 days ago. I hadn't had the strength to open it, but Heather had. She was pulling things out, clothes, papers, personal items, and shoving them into a large black garbage bag. Her movements were frantic, almost mechanical. Her face was dry, focused. There was no trace of the grief that had consumed her an hour. "Go, Heather," I said quietly. "What are you doing?" She jumped, spinning around. For a fraction of a second, I saw something flash across her face. Panic, maybe. Then it vanished, replaced by a sad smile. "Oh, Dad." She stood quickly, brushing off her knees. "I'm just trying to help you move on. Get rid of some of Mom's things. It'll only make it harder if you keep everything." I stared at her. "We'd buried Claire less than 3 hours ago. We just came from the funeral," I said slowly. "I know." Her voice was gentle, patient. "But holding on to all this won't bring her back. Trust me, Dad. It's better this way. Better for everyone." Something cold settled in my chest. The way she stood there so calm. The way she'd been crying at the cemetery, but now showed no tears. The way her mother's possessions lay scattered at her feet like trash. "Heather, your mother just..." "I know." Her voice cracked slightly. "I know. Okay, but I can't. I can't keep seeing her things everywhere. It hurts too much." That made sense. Grief affected people differently. Maybe this was Heather's way of coping, but something in her eyes told me different. "Let me handle this." I gently pushed Heather aside and knelt before the suitcase myself. Claire's clothes lay neatly folded inside, still carrying the scent of her vanilla perfume. The smell hit me hard. I had to steady myself. Beneath the fabric, I felt something stiff. A manila envelope. Insurance documents spilled out. Life insurance, $1.2 million. I stared at the number. my mind struggling to process it. A business card fell. Next, J. Morrison and Associates, Private Investigations. Private Investigator. I dug deeper. Photographs scattered across the carpet. Heather, with a silver-haired man, maybe 50s, at upscale restaurants and hotels. His hand on her waist, too familiar, too intimate. Bank statements followed. Heather's account showed deposits I'd never seen. $2,000, $3,000, $5,000, week after week. Then a sealed envelope in Claire's handwriting for Vincent Urgent, inside a USB drive, and a hastily written note. Vincent, if you're reading this, I'm gone. Everything you need is on this drive. Trust no one, not even. The final words were smeared illegible. My laptop sat nearby. I plugged in the drive with shaking hands. 3 folders appeared. Financial records locked. Surveillance photos. Audio evidence. A README file. Start with audio 01. Password is Quinn's. Birthday. I'm so sorry, Vincent. I clicked the first audio file. Claire's voice filled the room, and my heart broke all over again. November 1st, 8 p.m. I followed Heather today. He didn't go to study group. He went to the Four Seasons Hotel. A man met her 50s grey hair, expensive suit. They kissed. Not like friends, like lovers. Her voice cracked slightly. I need more proof. I need to know who he is, what he wants with our daughter. Tomorrow, I'll the recording cut off. I sat frozen. Claire's voice still echoing. My wife had been investigating our own daughter. Dad, I looked up. Heather stood in the doorway staring at the USB drive in my hand. Her face had gone completely white. She saw the photos on the floor, the bank statements, the glowing laptop screen. Dad, she whispered. What is that? I stood frozen, staring at the USB drive in my hand. 6 weeks ago, Claire had shown me a Gucci bag she'd found in Heather's room. Red leather, gold hardware, $3,000. Where would she get this kind of money? Claire had asked, her voice tight with worry. I'd shrugged it off. Probably a knockoff. You know how kids are. I checked the authentication code. Vincent, it's real. I'd kissed her forehead. Maybe she saved up. Don't worry so much. But Claire had worried. She'd always been more perceptive than me. 3 weeks later, she'd tried again. Heather's different lately, Claire had said while we washed dishes together. She's secretive, always on her phone. She won't tell me where she goes anymore. She's 19, honey. College students need their space. This is different. Claire had gripped the dish towel. A mother knows when something's wrong. I'd wrap my arms around her. You're stressed. Heather's just being a typical teenager. She's not a teenager anymore, Claire had whispered. 2 weeks before the accident, I'd found Claire crying at the dining table. Quinn sat beside her, confused and scared. Heather told Quinn she didn't have time for childish nonsense. Claire had said through tears. She was so cold. Vincent Quinn just wanted her sister to read her a bedtime story. I had confronted Heather that night. She'd apologized sweetly, blamed exam stress. I'd believed her. 5 days before the accident, Claire had dropped the bombshell. I hired a private investigator. You what? Her hands had been shaking. I know it sounds paranoid, but I had to know the truth. Vincent Heather's seeing someone, an older man, much older. Someone's been giving her thousands of dollars. I'd been furious. That's insane. Our daughter deserves privacy. I have photos, bank records. Claire's voice had cracked. Tomorrow, I'll show you everything. Fine, I'd snapped. Tomorrow, and then we're having a serious conversation about trust. She'd kiss my cheek before bed. I love you. No matter what happens, remember I did this to protect our family. The next morning, she'd driven to meet the investigator. Her brakes failed on Interstate 70. Her car went through the guardrail and down the embankment. The police called it a tragic accident. But standing here now, holding the USB she'd hidden, I knew better. Dad. Quinn's small voice broke through my thoughts. She stood in the doorway, clutching her stuffed rabbit, tears streaming down her face. I want Mummy. I set the USB down and opened my arms. Quinn ran to me and I held her tight against my chest. I know, sweetheart, I know. Over her shoulder, I could see the photographs scattered across the floor. Heather with that silver-haired stranger. The insurance documents. Claire's final message. Trust no one, not even. I closed my eyes, feeling Quinn's small body tremble. I'm so sorry, Claire, I whispered. I should have listened. Quinn pulled back, looking up at me with her mother's eyes. What are you sorry for? Daddy, I smoothed her hair the way Claire used to. Nothing, baby. I pulled her close again. But Daddy's going to make everything right. For Mummy, I promise. This time, I meant it. I didn't sleep that night. Every time I closed my eyes, I heard Claire's voice on that recording. At 7 a.m., I drove Quinn to Judith Monroe's house. Claire's best friend opened the door, her eyes red and swollen. "Take your time, Vincent," she said softly, pulling Quinn into a hug. Back home, I went straight to my office and spread everything across the desk. Photographs, bank statements, the USB drive. I studied the photos carefully. The man appeared in every one at restaurants, hotels, his hand always on Heather's waist, too familiar, too possessive. One photo showed them beside a black Mercedes. I zoomed in on the license plate. Another showed them outside an office building, with a brass plaque, Fletcher Consulting Group. Fletcher, I typed the name into Google. His website appeared. Professional headshot, expensive suit, Dominic Fletcher. Senior investment consultant, but no team photos, no office address, just a phone number. His LinkedIn profile was equally thin. 52 years old, only 30 connections. For someone claiming 15 years in finance, that was suspicious. I searched the Better Business Bureau. 2 complaints against Fletcher's Consulting Group. Both mentioned inappropriate relationships, both mysteriously withdrawn. Then I found a Reddit post from 8 months ago, warning about Dominic Fletcher in Boulder. "This guy is a predator. Targeted my friend's daughter with expensive gifts, then vanished. Stay away." My stomach turned. I opened the investigator's full report from the USB drive. Subject: Dominic Allen Fletcher. Deaube, August 14, 1971. Marital status: married Karen Fletcher. 2 children. Married, with children. Known pattern targets: young women via social media. Presence as wealthy investor. Provides gifts and cash. Relationships last 3 months before disappearing. Criminal record: no formal charges. Multiple complaints settled privately. Risk assessment: Cliff demonstrates manipulation may become dangerous if confronted. Report date November 8, 7 days before Claire died. At the bottom, a handwritten note: Mrs. Hayes, strongly advise involving law enforcement. This man is more dangerous than he appears. J. Morrison. I grabbed Morrison's card and dialed. He answered immediately. "Morrison, this is Vincent Hayes, Claire's husband." A pause. "Mr. Hayes, I am deeply sorry. Your wife was trying to protect your daughter. I found everything she collected." My voice broke. She was terrified. She had reason to be. Morrison's tone was grave. "Fletcher's a professional. He knows how to avoid prosecution. Your daughter's in deep." I forced the question out. "The accident. Do you think I don't believe in coincidences?" Morrison cut me off. "Your wife was careful. The day before she died, she told me she was ready to confront Heather and go to the police." My chest tightened. "You think Fletcher knew?" I filed a report with Denver police the day after the crash. But Mr. Hayes listened carefully. "If Fletcher discovers you're investigating, you could be next." The line went dead. I sat frozen. Morrison's warning echoing. "You could be next." Suddenly, the front door opened downstairs. Footsteps in the hallway. "Dad," Heather's voice called. "Up. You home?" She wasn't supposed to be back until tonight. I looked at my desk. Photographs everywhere. Heather and Fletcher kissing. The investigator's report. Bank statements showing thousands of dollars. Everything exposed. "Dad." Her footsteps started up the stairs. I had maybe 10 seconds. The next afternoon, I sat in the living room waiting. Quinn was still at Judith's house. I told her she could stay another night. On the coffee table in front of me lay a single photograph. Heather and Dominic Fletcher outside the Four Seasons Hotel, his hand on her waist. Her looking up at him, like he was everything. I'd printed it that morning. The front door opened at 4:30. Heather walked in wearing a new coat I'd never seen before. Cashmere, probably expensive. Designer jeans, leather boots that looked like they cost more than my monthly car payment. She froze when she saw me sitting. "There, sit down," I said quietly. "We need to talk." "Dad, I have homework." "Sit down." Something in my voice made her obey. She perched on the edge of the armchair across from me, her purse clutched in her lap. I slid the photograph across the coffee table. "Who is this man?" The color drained from her face. "Where did you get that?" "From your mother's things. She was investigating you, Heather." Her shock turned to anger instantly. Investigating me like I'm some kind of criminal. Who is he? A business consultant? Her voice was defensive now. I met him at a networking event for students interested in finance. I pulled out another page. Morrison's report summary. His name is Dominic Fletcher. He's 52 years old, married with 2 children. Your mother hired a private investigator. I have the full report. Heather's hands clenched. So Mum was spying on me. That's insane. She never trusted me. Where did you get the money for all this? I gestured at her expensive clothes. That coat, those boots, the Gucci bag your mother found. I have a part-time job, consulting work. Don't lie to me. My voice hardened. Your bank account shows deposits of $2 to $5,000 every single week. Heather's eyes filled with tears. Real tears, or fake ones. I couldn't tell anymore. Why are you doing this? Her voice broke. Mum just died. I'm grieving too. Dad, can't you see that? I think you're involved in something dangerous, and I think your mother figured it out. Yeah? Heather stood up, her voice rising. Are you accusing me of killing Mom? I'm trying to understand what's happening. I loved her. Heather was crying now, full sobs. Maybe I made some mistakes, but I would never hurt Mum. Never. She looks so much like the little girl who used to climb into my lap when she had nightmares. The daughter who'd made me birthday cards every year. For a moment, doubt crept in. Heather, if you don't believe me, fine. She wiped her eyes roughly. But don't interrogate me like I'm a criminal in my own home. She grabbed her purse and ran upstairs. Her bedroom door slammed so hard the walls shook. I sat alone in the silence. Above me, I could hear Heather crying, deep, wrenching sobs that made my chest ache. Maybe I was wrong. Maybe Claire had been wrong. Maybe this was all just a terrible misunderstanding and I was destroying what was left of my family. Then the crying stopped. I heard Heather's voice muffled through the floor. She was on the phone. I stood quietly and moved to the bottom of the stairs. Her door was closed, but her voice carried through the old house. If you listen carefully, I know Dominic. He found the photos. No, I didn't tell him anything. What? Do you mean handle it? A long pause. I don't know if he has the report. He mentioned an investigator. Yes, Morrison. Another pause. Her voice dropped even lower. I climbed 3 steps, straining to hear. The suitcase. He found Mum's suitcase, the USB drive, everything. My blood went cold. Dominic, I'm scared. What if he goes to the police? Okay. Hey, I trust you tonight. But Quinn's not even home. Are you sure? That she stopped abruptly. I heard footsteps crossing her room fast. Her door flew open. Heather stood at the top of the stairs, phone still in her hand, staring down at me with an expression I'd never seen before. Not grief, not anger, fear. Dad, she whispered, how long have you been standing there? That evening, I sat alone in the dark, staring at my phone. Finally, I dialed the number from Claire's accident report. Detective Alan Kowalski answered. Kowalski, this is Vincent Hayes, Claire Hayes' husband. I need to talk about my wife's accident. A pause. Mr. Hayes, I was hoping you'd call. Can you come to the station tonight? At 8 p.m., Detective Kowalski met me at the Denver Police Department. 58 gay-haired eyes. He led me to a conference room and spread photographs across the table. Claire's car at the bottom of the embankment off Interstate 70. Twisted metal, shattered glass. I couldn't breathe. Mr. Hayes, we completed forensic analysis of your wife's vehicle. He pointed to a close-up of the brake system. The brake line was cut, not worn, cut deliberately, then partially reconnected so it would fail under heavy braking. The room spun. This wasn't an accident. Someone sabotaged your wife's car. We're treating this as a homicide investigation. Murdered. Claire was murdered. Do you have suspects? My voice barely worked. We're tracking mechanics who might have been hired for cash work. Those transactions are hard to trace. He leaned forward. Did your wife have enemies? Anyone who'd want to hurt her? I pulled out everything. The photographs of Heather and Dominic Fletcher Morrison's report. The USB drive. My wife was investigating our daughter's relationship with this man. I slid the papers across. She confronted Heather 2 days before she died. Kowalski studied the photos. Then his jaw tightened. Dominic Fletcher. I know this name. He's been on our radar for years. Fraud, exploitation of young women. But he's careful. We've never made charges stick. Last night, I overheard my daughter on the phone with him. I could barely speak. She told him I found the photos. He said something about handling it. The I mentioned tonight. Kowalski's face darkened. That's a direct threat. You could be in serious danger. He made notes. We're also waiting on toxicology results from your wife's autopsy. Blood work takes 10 to 14 days. We're testing for sedatives that might have impaired her before the crash. I thought of the sleeping pill bottle in Claire's suitcase, but said, nothing yet to something else. Kowalski's voice dropped. Your wife called this station the morning she died. She wanted to meet me at 2 p.m., said she had evidence of a crime involving your daughter and needed police protection. My throat closed. She never made it, I whispered. No. The brake failure happened around 11:30 a.m. He met my eyes. She was driving to meet the investigator one last time before coming here. Someone had known Claire's plans. Someone had stopped her. What do I do now? Go home. Lock your doors. Don't confront your daughter or Fletcher without us present. He handed me his card. Call if anything happens. I'll have a patrol car drive by your house tonight. I drove home in a daze. Homicide investigation. Someone sabotaged your wife's car. When I pulled into the driveway, Heather's car was gone. I ran inside. Heather. Silence. I took the stairs 2 at a time. The bedroom door stood open. Clothes scattered everywhere like she'd packed in a panic. Drawers hanging open. Laptop gone. Phone charger missing. A note on her desk. Dad needs space. Staying with a friend. Don't worry, I called her phone. Straight to voicemail. She turned it off. I stood in her empty room. Her voice from last night echoing in my head. What do you mean handle it? Tonight my daughter was gone and I had no idea where. The next few days blurred together in a nightmare I couldn't wake from. Day 4. Heather came home late that night. I heard her car pull in around midnight. She went straight to her room without saying a word. I heard the lock click. The house felt like a war zone. 2 people living under the same roof, not speaking. Day 5. Quid asked me at breakfast, why doesn't Heather play with me anymore? I had no answer. That evening, I heard Heather on the phone again through her closed door. Her voice was low, urgent. I pressed my ear to the wood, but couldn't make out the words. When she finally emerged, her eyes were red. She looked at me like I was a stranger. Day 6. I couldn't take the silence anymore. I opened Claire's USB drive and clicked on the remaining audio files. Audio 2, dated November 2nd, Claire's voice. I followed them to a jewelry store today. Fletcher bought Heather a diamond bracelet. She wore it to dinner like a trophy. Audio 03, dated November 5th. This one was different. Raised voices. Claire confronting Heather directly. You don't understand what kind of man he is. You can't control my life, Mom. He's manipulating you. He's married Heather. I don't care. You can't stop me. The recording cut off abruptly. Audio 0 dated November 8th. Claire's voice was shaking. Vincent, if you're listening to this, I'm scared. Not for me, but for you and Quinn. Heather looked at me today with such contempt, such cold hatred. I don't recognize my own daughter anymore. I'm meeting Morrison tomorrow one last time. Then I'm going to the police. I have to protect what's left of this family. I sat in the dark office, tears streaming down my face. Day 7. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Sykes, stop asking questions about D. Fletcher. Your wife didn't listen. Don't make the same mistake. My hand shook as I forwarded it to Kowalski. He called back within an hour. It's a burner phone. Untraceable, Mr. Hayes. You need to be very careful. Day 8. I came home from picking up Quinn to find Heather in the hallway with 2 suitcases. Where are you going? Back to the dorms. Her voice was flat. It's too painful to be here. Heather, please. We need to talk. There's nothing to talk about. She grabbed her bags. You've already made up your mind about me? She walked out the door without looking back. Day 9. Quinn and I were eating dinner when she asked quietly, Daddy, did someone break Mummy's car? I nearly dropped my fork. Why would you ask that, sweetheart? Because I heard Heather on the phone. Quinn's voice was so small. The day before Mummy's accident, Heather said, Mommy won't be bothering us anymore. The room tilted. Are you sure that's what she said? Quinn nodded, her eyes filling with tears. I thought Heather meant Mummy was going on a trip. But then Mummy died. My daughter, my 4-year-old daughter, had heard something. Her phone rang, shattering the moment. Kowalski. Mr. Hayes, the toxicology results came back from the lab. His voice was grim. We need to talk. Can you come to the station right now? I looked at Quinn's innocent face across the table. Yes, I whispered. I'll be right there. The next morning, I dropped Quinn at Judith's house and drove straight to the police. Station Detective Kowalski was waiting for me in the same conference room. His expression was darker than I'd ever seen it. "Sit down, Mr. Hayes." He slid a document across the table. Official letterhead. Denver Medical Examiner's Office. Toxicology report. I scanned the page, but the medical terminology blurred together. "Just tell me," I said. "Your wife tested positive for That's the active ingredient in Ambient, a prescription sleep medication." Kowalski pointed to a highlighted section. The concentration in her blood was extremely high, equivalent to 3, maybe 4 pills. My stomach dropped. The effects would have been severe. Extreme drowsiness, impaired motor control, delayed reaction time. He leaned forward. "Mr. Hayes, your wife was heavily drugged when she got behind the wheel. Combined with the sabotaged brake line, she never had a chance." "Claire didn't take sleeping pills," I said immediately. "She hated medication. She wouldn't even take aspirin unless she absolutely had to." "I believe you." "Which means someone gave it to her without her knowledge." I suddenly remembered the pill bottle I'd found in Claire's suitcase. I pulled out my phone and showed Kowalski the photo I'd taken. "I found this in her things. The label's been torn off, but it looks like a prescription bottle." Kowalski studied the image. "We'll need the physical evidence, but this fits. Someone crushed those pills and put them in her food or drink that morning." The room felt like it was closing in. "Who was in the house the morning your wife died?" Kowalski asked quietly. My mouth went dry. "Heather. She told me she had a late class that day. She was home that morning." The words felt like poison coming out of my mouth. "Mr. Hayes, we're building a case against both your daughter and Dominic Fletcher. But right now, everything we have is circumstantial. The cut brake line, the drugs, the phone call your daughter made. We need something concrete. What do you need?" "A confession." Kowalski opened a drawer and pulled out a small device. "I want you to wear a wire. Talk to your daughter. Get her to admit what she did." I stared at the recording device. It was so small, barely bigger than a quarter. "You want me to trick my own daughter into confessing to murder?" "I want you to get justice for your wife." Kowalski's voice was firm, but not unkind. "Heather knows something. Whether she did this herself or she helped Fletcher, she knows. And right now, she thinks she's gotten away with it." I thought of Claire's voice on those audio files. Her fear, her determination to protect what was left of our family. "What do I have to do?" I whispered. "First, we need to bring in everyone involved for questioning. And Mr. Hayes, we found the mechanic." Kowalski pulled out another file. "His name is Ivan Mercer. He's already talking." On the afternoon of day 11, the doorbell rang. Judith Monroe stood on my porch holding a small cardboard box. "Vincent, I need to give you something." We sat in the living room. She placed the box on the coffee table between us. "Claire gave this to me 3 weeks ago." Judith's voice shook. "She made me promise. If anything happens to me, give this to Vincent." After the funeral, my heart stopped. Inside the box, 3 sealed envelopes numbered 1 through 3. Claire's wedding ring and a family photograph from Quinn's 3rd birthday. I opened envelope 1. Envelope 1, October 20th. "Vincent, if you're reading this, my worst fears came true. Heather has changed. Our daughter isn't the girl we raised anymore. Something dark has taken hold of her. She looks at me with cold calculation like I'm an obstacle instead of her mother. I love her, God help me. I love her with everything I have. But Vincent, I'm afraid of her. Protect Quinn. Whatever happens, protect our baby girl. Love always." Clara couldn't breathe. Judith squeezed my shoulder as I opened envelope 2. Envelope 2, November 3rd. "Vincent Morrison found 2 other young women involved with Dominic Fletcher. Beau tried to leave him. One died in a house here last year in Boulder, ruled accidental. Another drowned in her bathtub 6 months ago in Fort Collins, also ruled accidental. These weren't accidents. Fletcher eliminates anyone who threatens him. And now our daughter is with him. I'm meeting Morrison tomorrow to finalize everything, then going to the police. I'll have to stop this before someone else dies. I love you. I love our girls. Claire, 2 other women, dead." My hands shook as I picked up envelope 3. The handwriting looked rushed, desperate. Envelope 3, November 10th, 7:45 a.m. "Vincent, something's wrong. I'm writing this quickly before I leave. Heather was here this morning. She made me coffee. She's never done that once in her entire life. She was so sweet, so attentive. It felt staged. The coffee tasted bitter. I poured most of it out when she wasn't looking, but I drank some to avoid suspicion. I feel strange, foggy. My hands are shaking. I'm driving to meet Morrison one last time, then straight to the police. Kowalski expects me at 2 p.m. if something happens to me today. Look at Heather. Look at what she gave me this morning. I should have acted sooner. I love you. Protect Quinn. Please be careful. If they hurt me, you could be next. Forever yours, Claire. The letter fell from my hands. She knew that morning, she knew the coffee was poisoned. She poured it out but drank some anyway to avoid raising Heather's suspicions, and she still got in the car. Because she was trying to save us. Vincent, Judith's voice cracked. Claire asked me to take care of Quinn if anything happened to you. I promised her I would. So please, whatever you're about to do, be careful. Did she tell you she suspected Heather? Not directly, but I knew. Judith wiped her eyes. Claire was terrified of her own daughter those last weeks. My phone buzzed. Kowalski, Mr. Hayes. We picked up Ivan Mercer an hour ago, the mechanic who cut your wife's bra line. He's talking. You need to get down here now. Day 12 and 13. The hardest 48 hours of my life. I hired a babysitter for Quinn and told her I had work meetings. Then I texted Heather. I'm sorry for how I acted. Can we talk? I miss you. She replied an hour later. Okay, maybe this weekend? Good. She thought I was backing down. Day 12 seconds and 300 milliseconds PMI parked across the street from Heather's apartment building, near campus, and waited. At 4:30, she emerged wearing a designer coat I'd never seen before. Sunglasses that probably cost more than my monthly mortgage payment. But it wasn't her clothes that shocked me. It was the car. A brand new Silverado pulled up to the curb. Heather slid into the passenger seat like she owned it, not a beat-up Honda. This was a $60,000 vehicle. I followed at a distance, my heart pounding. Thiardi headed downtown and pulled into the Four Seasons Hotel valet, pairing. Heather stepped out. A man was waiting for her in the lobby. Dominic Fletcher. Even from across the street, I could see him clearly. Silver hair, expensive, suit, confident posture. His hand went immediately to the small of Heather's back. Possessive, controlling. They disappeared into the hotel restaurant. I found a spot near the window, partially hidden behind a decorative column, and took out my phone, started recording. Fidio Fletcher ordered wine. They talked in low voices. He touched her constantly, her hand, her shoulder, like she was his property. I moved closer, straining to hear fragments of conversation. If father found the files. Fletcher's voice was cold, calculated. I told you I handled it. Heather sounded defensive. You didn't handle anything. Fletcher leaned forward. He has everything. Your mother collected? The photos? The bank records? Morrison's report? Heather's face went pale. What do we do? Where Fletcher laughed softly. It was a cruel sound. There is no we, sweetheart. You need to understand that. He pulled a thick envelope from his jacket and slid it across the table. This is the last payment. 50,000. After this, we're done. Heather stared at the envelope. Even from where I stood, I could see it was stuffed with cash. But you said I said a lot of things. Fletcher's smile didn't reach his eyes. Life isn't fair, baby. Your mother learned that lesson the hard way. My vision went red. Heather's voice dropped to a whisper. Are they going to arrest us? Not if you. Keep your mouth shut. Fletcher leaned back. I'll handle your father just like I handled your mother. He kissed her forehead. A gesture that might have looked tender to anyone else, but I saw it for what it was. Control, manipulation. Go home. Stay quiet. Let me take care of this. Heather nodded like a child following orders. I left before they did and sat in my car shaking. I'll handle your father just like I handled your mother. I called Kowalski immediately. I just watched my daughter meet with Dominic Fletcher at the Four Seasons. He gave her $50,000 in cash and told her he'd handle me the way he handled Claire. Did you record it? Video and audio? Not great quality, but it's something. Send it to me now. Kowalski paused. Mr. Hayes, we got a confession from Ivan Mercer this morning. He admitted a man matching Fletcher's description paid him $5,000 cash to cut your wife's brake line. He identified Fletcher from a photo lineup. My hands tightened on the steering wheel. Can you arrest them? We're building the case, but Mr. Hayes, I need you to be very careful. Fletcher just threatened you directly. He's dangerous. I know. My voice was steady now, calm. I'm ready. Day 13, evening. I texted Heather. I need to see you tomorrow night at the house. 7:00 p.m. This is important. She replied after an hour. Fine. 7 p.m. I stared at the message. My daughter, the girl I'd raised, taught to ride a bike, walked to her first day of kindergarten. She'd helped kill her own mother. And tomorrow night, I was going to make her confess. The afternoon of day 14, I sat in a small technical room at the Denver Police Department. A technician attached a tiny microphone to my chest, hidden beneath my shirt. The wire was so thin, I could barely feel it. Tess, I said quietly. In the monitoring room next door. Kowalski gave a thumbs up through the glass. He came back in and sat across from me. Mr. Hayes listened carefully. Don't rush this. Let her talk. Give her space to explain herself. Present evidence slowly, piece by piece. If you come at her too hard, she'll shut down. I knotted my throat tight. Your code phrase, if things get dangerous, is Claire would understand. Say those exact words and we'll be inside in 90 seconds. We'll have units parked 2 blocks away. What if Fletcher shows up? Then we move immediately. But based on the conversation you recorded, I don't think he will. He's keeping distance, letting Heather take the risk. Kowalski's expression hardened. That's what manipulators do. What exactly do you need from her? A confession. We need her to admit she knew about the brake tampering, that she drugged your wife, and most importantly, that Fletcher ordered it. He leaned forward. Mr. Hayes, I know this is your daughter. I know every instinct you have is screaming at you to protect her, but she helped murder your wife. The words hit like a punch. Justice for Claire is what matters now, Kowalski said quietly. Not your feelings, not Heather's feelings. Claire deserves justice. I looked down at my hands. They were shaking. What if she doesn't confess? Then we use what we have. Ivan Mercer's testimony, the toxicology report, the letters Claire left, your recordings of Fletcher. He paused. But a confession would seal it, make it impossible for Fletcher to walk away. I nodded slowly. One more thing, Kowalski handed me. A folder. These are photos of the 2 other women Fletcher was involved with, both dead. Show them to Heather if you need to. Remind her what he's capable of. I opened the folder. 2 young faces, both around Heather's age, both smiling in their photos, both dead now. He'll do the same to her eventually, I whispered. Yes, he will. Kowalski stood. You're doing the right thing, Mr. Hayes. This is the only way to stop him. At 6:45 p.m., I pulled into my driveway. The house was dark, except for the porch light. Inside, I'd set up the living room. 2 chairs facing each other, water glasses on the coffee table. Everything calm, controlled. I sat down and waited. The microphone pressed against my chest, felt like a brand. 6:50 p.m., 6:55 p.m. Headlights swept across the front windows. Heather's car pulled into the driveway. I stood, my heart hammering so hard I thought the microphone might pick it up. The front door opened. Heather stepped inside, her expression guarded. Hi, Dad. Hi, sweetheart. My voice didn't shake. Thanks for coming. Please sit down. 7:00 p.m. Heather sat across from me in the living room, her arms crossed defensively. So, what's this about? Her tone was cold. I took a slow breath. Stay calm. Let her talk. I want to understand what's happening with you and Dominic Fletcher. She stiffened. There's nothing to understand. Heather, I know who he is. I kept my voice gentle. I know he's 52, married with 2 children. I know he has a pattern of targeting young women. You don't know anything about him? Her eyes flashed. He cares about me, does he? I pulled out my phone and showed her the photo I'd taken at the 4 Seasons. Fletcher's hand possessive on her back. This looks like control, not care. She looked away. You followed me? Your mother did too, before she died. I slid Morrison's report across the coffee table. She hired a private investigator. She found out everything. Heather's face went pale as she flipped through the pages. Mom was spying on me. She was trying to protect you. I leaned forward. Heather Fletcher has done this before. Other young women, they tried to leave him and stop. Her voice cracked. I can't stop. Not anymore. I pulled out the bank statements. $50,000. He gave it to you 2 days ago at the 4 Seasons. I was there. I heard what he said. Her hands trembled. This is the last payment, I quoted. Life isn't fair. Your mother learned that the hard way. Heather's breathing quickened. The police found the mechanic who cut your mother's bra line. I watched her face carefully. His name is Ivan Mercer. He identified the man who paid him $5,000 cash, a man with silver hair, 50s expensive suit. Dominic Fletcher. I don't know anything about that, but her voice was breaking. Yes, you do. I pulled out the toxicology report. My hand shook as I placed it on the table. Your mother was drugged the morning she died. Salt pad me. Sleeping pills. High dose. Heather stared at the document. The medical examiner found enough in her system to severely impair her driving. Combined with the brake failure, she never had a chance. Dad, your mother, left letters. Heather, 3 of them with Judith Monroe. I pulled out the final letter, the one dated November 10th. Claire's handwriting. She wrote this the morning she died. I read it aloud, my voice breaking. Heather made me coffee. She's never done that once in her entire life. The coffee tasted bitter. I poured most of it out, but I drank some. I feel strange, folky. Heather's face crumpled. Your mother knew, Heather. She knew that morning that something was wrong. She knew you'd put something in her coffee. Tears streamed down my face, as she got in the car anyway because she was trying to save this family. Heather was crying now, her whole body shaking. I can't stop because your mother is dead. My voice rose despite myself. She's dead and I need to know what happened. I need to know what happened to the little girl. Ray's, the daughter who used to climb into my lap and asked me to read her stories. Where is she? Heather looked up at me with red swollen eyes. That little girl is dead. Her voice was barely a whisper. She died a long time ago. Silence filled the room when I asked softly. She wiped her face with shaking hands. When I realized how much money could buy, how much power it gave you, how people looked at you differently when you wore the right clothes, drove the right car. Dominic taught you that. He showed me the truth. Her voice was bitter. That people like us, middle class, nobodies, were invisible. But with money, you become someone. So you traded your soul for designer handbags. I traded my soul for freedom. She looked at me with empty eyes, and Mum was going to take it all away. Heather buried her face in her hands, sobbing. I met Dominic a year ago online. He seemed so sophisticated. He took me to expensive restaurants, bought me designer clothes, made me feel special. He groomed you, I said quietly. Maybe, but I wanted it. She looked up, mascara streaking her face. For the first time, I felt like I mattered, like I was more than just a boring daughter in a boring house. The words cut deep, but I stayed silent. When Mum found out, she went crazy. He said she'd go to the police, freeze my trust fund, cut me off completely. Heather's voice shook. I told Dominic. I was scared, angry. I didn't know what to do. What did he say? He said we had to handle it permanently. That accidents happen every day. She swallowed hard. He gave me sleeping pills, told me to crush them into Mum's coffee, said she'd just get drowsy and stay home. But you knew about the brakes. Her face crumpled all at first. He told me after. He said if she did drive, the brakes would fail. It would look like an accident. So, you did it. Her voice was hollow. I didn't want to, but he said he'd leave me. That I'd lose everything. She was crying harder now. I was so stupid. Dad, tell me what happened that morning. Heather's hands trembled. I came home early, made coffee. Mum was so surprised. She kept saying how sweet I was. My chest tightened. I crushed the pills, put them in her cup. She drank it. Heather's voice broke. She said, I love you so much, sweetheart. You'll always be my baby girl. And you hugged her. Yes. She could barely speak. I hugged her. And I knew the brakes were cut. I knew she was drugged. And I let her walk out and get in her car. You watched her drive to her death. I thought she'd just crash a little, get scared, and come home. Heather screamed. I didn't think she'd die. You poisoned your own mother, hugged her, told her you loved her, then let her drive knowing exactly what would happen. I'm sorry. She had collapsed forward. I'm so sorry. Sorry doesn't bring her back. I know. Her eyes were wild. I see her face every second. I'll hear her voice. I love you so much, sweetheart. Those were her last words to me. Silence filled the room. Dominic promised we'd be together, that the insurance money would set us free. Her laugh was broken. But he's leaving me, isn't it? That 50,000 was payoff money. Yes, so. I killed my mother for nothing. Before I could respond, I heard it. A sound from the back of the house. The kitchen door opening. Heather's head snapped up, eyes wide with terror. Footsteps in the hallway. Dominic Fletcher stepped into the living room. In his right hand was a gun, while he said calmly, Isn't this touching? Dominic Fletcher stood in the doorway, gun in hand. His eyes were cold, calculating. Heather, you really couldn't keep your mouth shut. Dominic, Heather's voice trembled. Shut up. He stepped into the room. You just confessed to murder. Do you understand how stupid that was? I slowly stood. Fletcher, this is over. He laughed. I'm creating a narrative. Oh, she didn't tell you about Jake. Dominic's eyes never left mine. Her ex-boyfriend drowned last year. She held his head under water while I watched horror crashed over me. Heather! He was going to tell. Heather screamed. I had to. My daughter had killed before. Dominic raised the gun, pointing it at my chest. I spoke clearly. Claire would understand. His eyes narrowed. What AI dove sideways. The gun fired. The bullet shattered the lamp behind me. I crashed into Dominic. We went down hard, fighting for the weapon. Another shot. The ceiling exploded in dust. Police dropped it. The front door burst open. Kowalski and officers stormed in, weapons drawn. Dominic broke free and ran toward the stairs. Then I saw her. Quinn standing at the top of the stairs in her pink pajamas. Daddy! Dominic grabbed her, yanking my daughter against his chest. The gun pressed against her head. Back off, or Al Kowalski's taser hit him in the back. Dominic convulsed and dropped. I lunged up the stairs and caught Quinn before she fell. I've got you, baby, I've got you. Officers swarmed Dominic, slamming him down. Handcuffs clicked. Heather bolted for the back door. 2 officers caught her in 3 steps. No, Dad, please. She was screaming, fighting them. Help me, Daddy, please. I held Quinn tighter, turned my back, and walked down the stairs, away from her screams. Daddy, why is Heather crying? Don't look, sweetheart. Close your eyes. Behind me, Heather's screams grew desperate. Dad, please, Dad. I kept walking. Outside, 2 patrol cars waited, lights flashing. Dominic was shoved into the first, still cursing. Heather went into the second, sobbing uncontrollably. Kowalski approached me. Mr. Hayes, we got everything. Every word. Heather's confession to drugging your wife, Jake's murder, Fletcher's threats, all recorded. It's over. It's over. He'd put his hand on my shoulder. Claire would be proud. I watched both cars drive away into the darkness. My daughter was gone, but justice was done. I refused to go to the hospital. I'm fine. I need to stay with my daughter. Quinn clung to me. I held her close while officers processed the scene. Kowalski sat beside me. Dominic Fletcher will be charged with first-degree murder, conspiracy, attempted murder, and kidnapping. Life without parole. And Heather, first-degree murder. The drugging proves premeditation. 25 to life. Maybe more with Jake's case. 25 to life. My daughter. I looked at the family photo on the mantel. The 4 of us at the beach. That family didn't exist anymore? Heather's asking to see you. Nushes, I said no. That night, I tucked Quinn into bed. Daddy, where's Heather? Heather's going away for a long time. Sweetheart. Because she did something bad to Mommy. Yes, is she sorry? I thought about Heather's screams as police dragged her away. I don't know, baby. I really don't know. Quinn was quiet. Ben, do you still love her? The question broke something inside me. I love who she used to be, but that person is gone. I kissed her forehead. You're my family now. You're in the memory of your mother. 3 days later, arraignment. The courthouse was packed. News cameras everywhere. Dominic Fletcher entered first in an expensive suit. He pleaded not guilty with a cold smile, looking at the cameras. Then Heather. She looked small in her orange jumpsuit. When she saw me, she started crying. Daddy, she mouthed. I looked away. How do you plead? The judge asked. Not guilty, Your Honor. After everything, still lying. Neither could post bail. They'd stay in jail until trial. Outside, reporters swarmed. Mr. Hayes, how do you feel? I stopped and faced the cameras. My wife Claire was murdered by her daughter and Dominic Fletcher. They drugged her, sabotaged her car, and watched her drive to her death. Claire deserved justice. My voice didn't shake. I will be at every court hearing, not for Heather, for Claire. I looked into the camera. My daughter is dead to me. The girl I raised would never have done this. I turned and walked away. 6 months later, Denver County Courthouse. The courtroom was packed. I sat in the front row. Quinn stayed with Judith. Today was Dominic Fletcher's trial. Prosecutor Angela Reyes stood before the jury. This is about premeditated murder. A predator who manipulated a young woman into killing her own mother. Claire's smiling face filled the screen. Claire Palmer Hayes murdered after her brake line was cut and she was drugged with sleeping pills. Reyes presented the evidence, forensic photos, toxicology reports, bank records. Then Ivan Mercer took the stand. Did you tamper with Claire Hayes's vehicle? Yes, ma'am, his voice barely audible. Who hired you? A man, silver hair, 50s, expensive suit. Paid me $5,000 cash to cut the brake line. He pointed with a shaking hand. That's him, Dominic Fletcher. Karen Fletcher took the stand. Next, Dominic's wife. Were you aware of his relationships with younger women? Her voice cracked. Over the years, I saw patterns. Money disappearing. Late nights. Did you confront him? Once. 5 years ago. Tears streamed down her face. He said if I ever tried to leave, I'd have an accident, too. The courtroom went silent. Then they played the recording from my living room. You just confessed to murder. Devastated father shoots murderous daughter, then himself. I've done this before. The jury looked horrified. Oh, she didn't tell you about Jake. He held his head under water while I watched. Gas filled the courtroom. The jury deliberated for hours. On account of first-degree murder, how do you find guilty? Conspiracy to commit murder, guilty. Attempted murder, guilty. Every charge, guilty. Sentencing. 1 week later, Judge Morrison looked down at Fletcher. Mr. Fletcher, you are a predator. You have destroyed families and shown no remorse. I sentence you to life in prison without possibility of parole. The gavel came down. Fletcher was led away in chains. Ivan Mercer was sentenced separately, 18 years in state prison. Mercer wept. I'm sorry, he whispered toward me. Outside reporters swarmed. I nodded and kept walking. Next week was Heather's trial. That one would be harder. 1 week later, Heather Hayes's trial. The courtroom felt heavier this time. Heather sat at the defense table in a grey suit. She'd lost weight. Her face was gaunt, hollow. When she saw me, she started crying. I looked away. Her public defender tried his best. My client was manipulated by a dangerous predator, but prosecutor Reyes was ready. Heather Hayes made deliberate choices. She crushed sleeping pills, stirred them into her mother's coffee, hugged her goodbye, knowing the brakes were cut. Reyes played the confession. I crushed the pills. She said, I love you so much. I hugged her. I knew the brakes were cut. I let her get in her car. The jury's faces hardened. Text messages sent that morning. Reyes read aloud. It's done. She drank all of it. Premeditation. Murder. When the judge called for victim impact statements, I stood. The courtroom went silent. I walked to the podium and looked at Heather. My wife Claire was the best person I've ever known. She dedicated her life to our daughters. I pulled out Claire's final letter. The morning Claire died, she knew the coffee tasted bitter, but she drank it anyway because she didn't want you to suspect. She was still trying to protect you. My voice cracked. Claire was driving to the police to save you from Fletcher, and you killed her for it. I looked directly at Heather. I taught you compassion. Your mother gave you everything. You repaid her with poison and betrayal. Heather sobbed. You destroyed this family. You took away the only person who loved you unconditionally. I gripped the podium. I cannot forgive you. I hope you carry this weight every day. I hope you see Mum's face, and I hope someday you understand what you've lost. I walked back. Heather screamed, Dad, please, I'm sorry. The bailiff restrained her. Sentencing. The judge looked at Heather coldly. Miss Hayes, you murdered your mother with premeditation. I sentence you to 35 years in state prison, eligible for parole in 25 years. The gavel came down. Heather collapsed. Daddy, please. Officers pulled her from the chair. She fought them, reaching toward me. Daddy. I stood and walked to the exit. I didn't look back. Outside, the sky was bright. Pliff waited with Judith. She ran to me and I picked her up. Is it over, Daddy? Yes, sweetheart. I held her tight. It's over. Justice was done. Now we could heal. 18 months later, the new house was smaller, a 2-bedroom in a quiet neighborhood. No ghosts, no memories. Quinn and I had moved 6 months after the trials. We couldn't stay in that house anymore. Quinn was 6 now, taller, her hair long, like Clef's. The nightmares had mostly stopped. Dr. Sanders helped her process what she'd lost. How are you feeling? The therapist asked last week. Sad, but not as sad as before. Progress. Judith suggested I create something meaningful from Claire's story. So, I founded the Claire Palmer Hayes Memorial Fund, a non-profit helping victims. of financial abuse and manipulation. In 18 months, we'd helped 67 women. The work gave Claire's death meaning. Every month, a letter arrived from Colorado Women's Correctional Facility. Heather's handwriting. I never opened them. 12 letters sat in a wooden box in my closet. Maybe someday, but not yet. Saturday morning, Quinn wanted to make Mummy's pancakes, Claire's blueberry recipe with vanilla and cinnamon. We worked together. Quinn measured flour. I cracked eggs. Mum used to let me stir, she said softly. I remember. Do you think she's watching? I looked at my daughter. Claire's eyes stared back. Yes, I think she is. Quinn smiled. Criv. After breakfast, we dressed. Navy suit for me, yellow dress for Quinn with the silver locket containing Claire's photo. We drove to Crown Hill Cemetery. Claire's headstone was simple. Claire Palmer Hayes, 1980, 2023. Beloved wife and mother. She loved fiercely and fought bravely. Quinn placed yellow roses at the base. Hi, Mommy. I made you pancakes today. I knelt beside her. We miss you every day, but we're okay. Quinn's doing well. The Memorial Fund helped 67 women. Your story is saving lives. I paused. Heather writes, but I'm not ready. Maybe someday. Quinn leaned against me. We're going to be okay, Mummy, Daddy promised. We sat in silence, the living and the dead, connected by love. Can we come back next week? Quinn asked. Whenever you want, sweetheart. Walk into the car. Quinn slipped her hand into mine. Daddy, I think Mummy's proud of us. I squeezed gently. I think so, too. Spring. 1 year later. The cemetery looked different in spring. Green grass stretched across the hillside. Cherry trees bloomed pink and white. Warm sunshine replaced the cold November rain. Quinn carried white lies. Claire's favorite. We walked hand in hand to the headstone. Claire Palmer Hayes, 1980-2023. Beloved wife and mother. She loved fiercely and fought bravely. Quinn knelt and arranged the lies carefully. Hi, Mom. We brought your favorites. I knelt beside her, touching Claire's name. Hi, honey. It's been a good year. Quinn's doing great in school, learning piano. Now, remember how you wanted her to take lessons? She's really good. I think she has your talent. Quinn smiled. The Memorial Fund is thriving. We've helped 83 women escape abusive relationships and financial manipulation. Your story keeps saving lives. Claire, I closed my eyes. Dominic Fletcher is in maximum security. Life without parole. He'll never hurt anyone again. My voice dropped. And Heather's serving 35 years. She writes every month. I swallowed hard. I haven't opened the letters. I keep them in a box. Maybe someday I'll be ready, but not yet. Tears came. I'm sorry I didn't believe you sooner, but I did what you asked. I found the truth. I protected Quinn. Justice was done. Quinn placed her hand on mine. Mummy, Daddy says, you're watching over us. I hope that's true, because I miss you so much. I miss your hugs, and your laugh, and your songs. A gentle breeze moved through the trees. We're going to be okay, Quinn said. We have each other, and we have your memory. That keeps us strong. I pulled her close. You saved us, Claire. Even when you were gone, you saved us. You left the evidence. You left the letters. You protected us until the very end. I stood helping Quinn up. We'll keep living. We'll keep remembering you. And Quinn will always know who her mother really was. Not the tragedy, not the victim, the hero. Quinn waved at the sky. I love you, Mummy. As we turned to leave, a white butterfly landed on Claire's headstone. It sat for a moment, wings opening. Slowly, then lifted off and flew into the sky. Quinn gasped. Daddy, look. I watched it rise higher until it disappeared into the sunlight. I saw it, sweetheart. That was Mummy, wasn't it? Saying she loves us, too. I smiled. The first, truly, peaceful smile in 2 years. Yeah, baby, I think it was. We walked to the car, the spring sun warm on our faces. Behind us, the white lies swayed gently. Goodbye, Claire, I whispered, until we meet again. For the first time since she died, I felt peace. Looking back on everything that happened, I realized now that the warning signs were always there. I just didn't want to see them. Don't be like me. Don't ignore your instincts when someone you love starts changing. Don't dismiss concerns from those who care about you. Claire tried to tell me. She tried to warn me. And I brushed her off because confronting the truth felt too hard. The lesson I learned, real love means protecting your family, even when the truth is painful. Even when it means facing the unthinkable about someone you raised. Claire showed me what courage looks like. She gathered evidence. She fought for our family until her last breath. And through God's grace, her sacrifice wasn't in vain. Trust in God when darkness surrounds you. God gives us strength we didn't know we had. God's justice may take time, but it will prevail. This is one of those grandpa stories I never thought I'd tell, a true story that changed my life forever. Quinn asked me sometimes why I share our pain with others. I tell her it's because somewhere out there, another Claire might be gathering courage to expose a dangerous secret. Another father might be ignoring the warning signs. If this grandpa's story's true story saves even one family from what we went through, then Claire's memory will have protected someone one more time. This true story is my testimony, my warning, and my prayer for you. So, I'm asking you, have you ever ignored warning signs about someone you loved? Have you witnessed manipulation or abuse? Please share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might save a life. If this touched your heart, please subscribe to Grandpa Stories for more true stories about courage, justice, and survival. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Together we can protect each